Upside down. Bang! Party people in the place to be. What's going on? It's me. Check it out. This was gonna happen a little bit later, but I'm gonna jump it up on the list because I've been staring at this icon forever and I wanna fucking watch it. Wrestling with Wregret is back. And they're going over DDP in WWE, and we're going to watch what they think of it starting right now. Or we're gonna watch the Wyatts. Oh.
To get fit, y'all. Come on, y'all. Let's get fit. Mountain climbers, y'all. Mountain climbers. Keep those feet. Focus on the core. Focus on the core. Is it me, or are these wrestler-inspired workouts just getting more and more ridiculous these days?
I kept the intro in. I like their intro.
Vincent Mann is a
he's got the DDP
individual,
yoga
to say the
tape.
very least, with a lot of interesting likes and dislikes. Allegedly, he dislikes smoking, sneezing, yawning, and scarves.
And I'm like, are you listening to what I'm saying? He's like, look at you, sitting there with your legs crossed and that scarf. Ugh, you're the most effeminate, tough guy I've ever seen in my life.
But do you want to know what Vincent Mann really hates? I mean, like, really hates down to his core? The answer is easy. The Jews. Wait, that's not right. I meant WCW. Ever since the Monday Night Wars, Vince made no qualms about showing his merciless contempt for his competition down south. From the not-so-subtle jabs made in the 1990s to documentary after documentary made about the company and its demise since the wars, McMahon and WWE has taken every opportunity to dig at the company that nearly drove them all out of business. Most guys who went from WCW to the WWF at one time or another wound up suffering for their guilt by association. There's an obscenely small number of guys who made the jump and went on to achieve great success in Connecticut.
Yeah.
But many former WCW guys, even the former champions and bona fide main eventers, went on to crash and burn in WWE. This week, we look at former WCW champion Diamond Dallas Page, a truly inspiring career that reached its pinnacle in WCW, reduced to nothingness once he became part of WWE's roster.
Yep.
How did that happen? Let's try and find out. Page spent the 1980s as a manager in AWA, FCW, and WCW. A true anomaly in wrestling, DDP didn't become a full-time wrestler until he was in his mid-30s. By 1997, Page became one of the hottest acts in WCW, feuding with the likes of Hollywood Hogan and Goldberg, and teaming with celebrities Karl Malone and Jay Leno. The celebrity involvement in WCW was horrible, but it speaks to how much faith the company had in Page to be able to carry those outside names on such large platforms. To the casual viewer, he was the top good guy in WCW, if not just behind Goldberg. Page's popularity and work ethic eventually placed him firmly in the main event scene, and he would win the WCW Championship 3 times. Page stayed in WCW in the mid to upper card until the company was bought out by the WWF in March of 2001. Page's contract was bought out by the McMahons, and he officially became a WWF employee. If you saw my review of 2001's Invasion storyline, you may have noticed I barely talked about DDP's involvement in the feud. I purposely avoided doing so because if I had, I would probably still be talking about it. DDP's first few months at the WWF are so odd, so entirely different and separate from everything else that was going on at the time that it barely belongs in the same canon as the Invasion storyline. But now, DDP gets his own episode. In just a moment, you're about to find out why. In the spring of 2001, a series of videos would play on WWF TV in which someone was stalking The Undertaker's then-wife, Sarah.
This is The Undertaker's wife, Sarah, combing her beautiful blonde hair. She has a nice figure.
Let's talk about how good the quality of this video is versus when WWF would do security shit later and it would look fake.
Having all that action broadcast
It actually looked like it was guerrilla style tape.
Wouldn't you want to know who was behind this? Fans like me sure as hell did.
Versus the high definition dashboard cam with the Matt Hardy, Jeff Hardy bullshit.
Who I am and why I'm here.
Say, if that's supposed to be the stalker we're seeing there, who's holding the camera? On Monday Night Raw, it was the moment of truth as a masked man came rolling in on Undertaker's motorcycle. Who was this sick, twisted individual who was tormenting The Undertaker and his wife?
Who is it?
Now, granted, this was a really cool moment, and it still kind of is. Here we saw the first WCW star, the first real WCW star, to invade the WWF after the buyout. It was a classic mystery gimmick with a fresh face as the payoff, and the first real shots fired in the invasion angle. The crowd was red hot for it. But the moment you got over the awesomeness of seeing DDP on WWF TV for the first time, you began to wonder just why on earth DDP would stalk Undertaker's wife in the first place. First of all, DDP was married to Kimberly. Yeah, this Kimberly. Why would he be stalking another woman when he was a married
Especially
man?
another woman who looked like Sarah. Sarah looked like a wet blonde chihuahua.
So not only is DDP ignoring his own wife, he's doing so in pursuit of this woman. Now, I don't want to come off as some sexist pig who thinks that looks are everything, but I mean...
Yeah, thank you.
After
you.
announcing that he did it all to get into Undertaker's
Taker has
match,
some
was
terrible
signed
taste
with
in women.
DDP
He really
and
does.
Taker at King of the Ring. The match itself was billed as a fight. Now, pay attention to that verbiage. It's not a street fight, it's just a fight. That's kind of unique, the way they booked that and the way they promoted that event. You know, maybe it's going to be a really knockdown, drag-out fight between the two with some really innovative action and spots. Who knows what this match is going to be like? I'm really excited. That's not how I would have booked it. I question the line of thinking the WWF had in booking the match this way. It was a completely one-sided affair in which DDP got practically no offense in, with Sarah mocking him for good measure. Hugh Morris, Lance Storm, and Mike Awesome all did more in their run-ins than DDP ever did in this match, and none of those guys were former WCW champions. If this was how a former champion was going to be treated in his first WWF match, then we were in for a long ride.
Yeah, and we were.
Long, shitty ride.
Yep.
As the feud progressed over the summer, Paige went from going after Sarah in order to get a psychological advantage over The Undertaker to actually lusting for and obsessing over her. What started off as strategy just became downright perviness.
The World Wrestling Federation. Subtlety? That.
The kicker to all this is this scene in which DDP apparently built a shrine to Sarah in his locker room.
I had forgotten about this.
My Sarah.
I forgot about that.
I can accept a lot of fake crap in my wrestling, but this is where I draw the line. I'm not even talking about how dumbed down and cliche the stalker gimmick had become. I just want to focus on the practicality of this shrine. The photos are one thing, but you're going to tell me he lugs those monitors to every stadium across the country? That's a bit much. The one bright spot to all this madness is it actually gave DDP a chance to get one up on The Undertaker. It's at this point I start to question the intelligence of The Undertaker. I mean, sure, he started out really strong at the beginning of this feud, but over time, as the weeks have gone on, he's just getting dumber and dumber. First of all, you can't tell this guy was clearly not DDP. You were fooled by a canyon?
Right.
Someone who was taller with a thicker build and completely different facial hair? That guy fooled you? Second and most importantly, Taker started bringing his wife Sarah to shows with the goal of protecting her from Paige. But in reality, Sarah was put directly in harm's way on a weekly basis. In fact, she got laid the F out on 3 separate occasions, and one of them was at the hands of Undertaker himself.
I'm starting to think
because he was the biggest dog in the yard.
this entire thing was she wanted some fame.
In what universe is it okay
And
for you
he
to bring
wanted
your
to
wife
give it to
the
her.
same places her stalker also frequents? Sure, you might get the chance to beat him up every once in a while, but she's still within arm's reach of the guy, and she's still at risk of being assaulted. It's not like cops don't exist in the world of WWE. They use cops all the time. Why didn't the Undertaker just call the cops?
Well,
on
that's
DDP?
like
It may have been
Savage
able to look very
bringing
strong,
Liz down to
but
the
it was
ring.
saved
That's
from a lot of
nothing
derpy
new.
moments. Somehow during all this crap, DDP and Kanyon won the WWF Tag Team Championships. Hey, what do you know? He won a championship. I guess he's getting pushed after all, right? But their reign was short-lived. At SummerSlam 2001, the two-thirds of the Jersey Triad were handily defeated by The Undertaker and Kane in a cage match, unifying the WWF and WCW tag team titles, bringing this terrible feud to a belated, merciful end. Of course I'm lying. This feud's not over yet. We still have to put Sarah over. Sure enough, the following night on Raw, DDP and Sarah squared off in a grudge match. And if you need me to tell you what happens next, well, shut up.
It's Stone Cold Steve Austin Appreciation Night. How can you condone the
Match is underway. Match is underway, and here we go. And look at Sarah. Knocked up Sarah. Sting DDP.
Having jobbed everyone in Taker's immediate family, Paige went off TV for a few weeks to recover from a knee injury, then returned with a brand new gimmick. And if you thought things with DDP were weird beforehand, well, shut up.
I want to give everyone a warm hello.
Somehow, mid-invasion, DDP changed gimmicks and went from weird stalker guy to weird Stuart Smalley meets yoga enthusiast guy. Bafflingly, DDP had more success doing this stupid thing than he did going
Yeah, he did.
the biggest main eventers. He actually won the European Championship in January of 2002 and capped off his reign with the successful defense at WrestleMania 18. Later that year, Paige suffered an injury during a match with Bob Holly and was forced to temporarily retire from wrestling in 2002. And that's where we end our story. It's kind of amazing how guys like Scott Steiner, Goldberg, and the NWO all went over to the WWE within the months and years after DDP's time in the company. If DDP couldn't be booked well there, then what chance did these guys have? In the span of a couple of years, Diamond Dallas Page went from being one of the hottest guys in all of wrestling to a laughingstock with virtually nothing to show for it. What did Page do to deserve such a black mark in his career as that stupid feud with The Undertaker and that silly yoga guru gimmick? No one really knows what caused DDP to be sacrificed like he was. There's always the underlying theory that since he wasn't one of Vince's creations, that he was doomed from the start.
Yep.
But there obviously have been exceptions to that rule. There are rumors that DDP thought too highly of himself when he came into the company, or that he had too many of his own ideas as to what he wanted to do, or that Taker...
What's wrong with having ideas? Why are bookers so pissed off at talent for having fucking ideas?
DDP ended their feud.
What's with their fucking egos that they can't...
But it would have been over with. But to keep the stalker angle going well past its expiration date to the point of parody, all wrapping up...
How dare he have his own ideas for what to do with himself on TV that might get him and other people over? How fucking dare he?
It's a shame that a guy with such great talent and charisma
It's
and
one
a
of the
great
reasons
story
that
like
wrestling
DDP
keeps
got
fucking
kicked
held
the
back. It
curb
really
in
is.
WWF. But it's amazing he got picked up at all, I guess, given his age at the time and his alleged backstage problems with the company. Still, you would have hoped he would have been treated with a little more dignity and respect in his time in WWF. I mean, who knows how his career would have gone and what accolades he may or may not have acquired.
He was
if
still
treated with
nearing
more credibility
his
and
40s.
respect when he was with the company. But, wrestling's full of what-ifs, so who am I to speculate? But it isn't all bad for the master of the diamond cutter these days. He seems to be doing just fine running DDP Yoga, fixing some of wrestling's most broken down legends, and inspiring a whole new generation of fans. I guess that makes him a better success story than most of the other WCW guys. Be sure to like this video, comment below, subscribe to Wrestling with Regret, and buy the t-shirt. I'm Brian Zane, and I'll see you next time.
So, here's the thing about DDP and WWE. That reign was lackluster as shit. That reign was lackluster. And like everybody else from WCW that came over, WWF neglected, not failed to, because failed to at least implies that they were trying, neglected or didn't want to invest in and or do right by those people. Which is funny because that's some of the shit that they were talking about WCW not doing at the time or wouldn't have done had they won or whatever. And they wouldn't have because WCW ran a terrible ship. But WWE has done some shitty stuff too, including the handling of DDP. I was never a WCW guy. But I did know that Booker T and DDP were some of the bigger names in WCW at the time of its closing. And the fact that they were misused as bad as they were was there was so much money left on the table by that invasion angle. It boggles the mind. Everybody talks about Vince McMahon as a businessman. Oh, he's a businessman. He doesn't know all the backstage stuff. No, he's a businessman. No, but he's a man at the same time, and a man with a giant fucking ego who lets that ego leave money on the table all the fucking time, including with DDP. I do believe he could have made some money with DDP had he allowed DDP to flourish more than he did. Stupid. And had guys like The Undertaker, speaking of The Undertaker who ran through this entire thing, like The Undertaker, not bury guys from WCW like DDP and Canyon and Chronic and shit. Particularly the guys who had been there before, like Chronic. That's dumb. Thinking about that. And how they misused that entire invasion angle just pisses me off. I was never a huge DDP fan. Like, DDP was alright. Like, he was fine enough. You could do the matches or whatever. I could understand his popularity. I can understand putting a title on him, or at least putting him in the title picture of some kind. But man, did they drop the ball with DDP. All over the place, they fucking dropped the ball with DDP. Totally dropped the ball with DDP. I agree with Brian on this one. They dropped the ball with DDP far beyond what they should have. The idea that they dropped the ball with him because he came up with ideas or thought he was better than he was. First of all, the idea of him thinking that he was better than he was might have just been him saying, hey, I was a champion in that other company. Why am I just straddling the fucking mid-card here? Like, I understand that you got a lot of guys, blah, 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 but you need to elevate some of the guys that came from WCW to help make this whole thing better, help make the whole invasion angle or whatever better, which they were not going to do. They refused to fucking do it. The WCW champions at the end of the invasion, I think, were mostly WWF guys. Fuck out of here. That whole thing was shit. And him having ideas and that pissing off promoters need to get off their own fucking nuts. They really do. I don't give a fuck who the promoter is. I don't give a fuck if you're from the indies or you're fucking Vince McMahon. You just get off your own nuts sometime and understand that some ideas might not all come from fucking you. They might come. How about this? The talent might have a good idea or two, or a differing idea than yours. And it might be a good idea to work with that talent and maybe meet somewhere in the middle as opposed to getting all ass hurt about it and punishing people. You fucking dumbasses. Leaving money all over the table because of your fucking egos from the smallest indie promoter with 20 fucking people in the audience, if that, to Vince McMahon. Leaving money on the table because you can't get past your own fucking egos. Fucking A. Fucking A. So party people, tell me what you think about this, that, or the other, down there in the comment section. Oh, also, while we're talking about DDP yoga, Trapzilla attended a DDP yoga class. This was at the early stages of DDP yoga, where he was doing classes like wrestlers do seminars, right? Like, to get extra money. That's pretty much what most of those seminars are for, is to get extra money. If, depending on who the guy is, you might be able to learn something, but maybe not. But, and I heard about this, and I think I might have not been in terrible standing with that particular indie promoter at that particular time. I can't remember, but I decided not to go because it was DDP yoga, and I knew he was just basically going to try to hawk the yoga, had nothing to do with wrestling anymore. And because I was never a huge DDP fan anyway, so I wasn't planning on going or spending the money or being beholden to the promoter for the money to get me in the thing or whatever. I didn't want to do it. But Kyle went, and Kyle, I think, said that it was fine. It was whatever. He didn't learn necessarily anything about wrestling because it wasn't necessarily about wrestling. It was about the yoga, like I thought it would be. And so he was there, and he met him, and I guess they took a picture or whatever. But yeah, so Kyle Trapzilla knows a little bit something about the DDP yoga, and met the man himself. Party people, tell me what you think about this. Tell me what you think about the image of Trapzilla in downward facing dog in a room full of sweaty Hindi dudes from Southern California trying to do the lotus position and other pretzel shit. Oh shit, that's the funniest image I've ever seen, because I'm picturing him in the fucking red and black long tights with the long hair this way, and still trying to get himself in different positions and shit. That's funny. That's fucking hilarious to me with all the water dripping down. Watch some of the videos of Trapzilla wrestling in one of the playlists down there. It's hilarious if you see that dude thinking about him in all the different lotus flowery yoga positions. That's funny as fuck. Party people, tell me what you think about this down there in the comment section. Like, share, subscribe. YouTube.com/surreal469. You want to see more wrestling with Wregret? Let me know. Did you like DDP's run in WWF? Did you think that me and Brian are over exaggerating, or did you think it was worse than what we were talking about, or do you think it's right on par? Let us know. Also, YouTube.com/surreal469. Go over to the right hand side. There's a little blue button that says support. You click that, you support that, and that ain't bad. That ain't bad. Boom. Boom.
Suplex City, Suplex City, bitch. Suplex City, Suplex City, bitch. Suplex City, Suplex City, bitch. Suplex City, Suplex City, bitch.